here we are again, week 6 of 11-week championship bowling here at Brunswick Lanes. Bruce, it's been a fantastic 5 weeks so far. We're into the last week of the first round, and boy, there's been some fantastic bowling been done here. There's been some great scores. There's high scores, and it looks like this week is going to be no exception.
I don't think we've gone a week without something exciting happen that will set the whole program up. Like last week, Willard Ogden came through with a double strike and put himself into the next round. He was sagging a bit, bang, bang, double strike, and he beats out a opponent by 6 pins.
Yep.
And weeks before that, good scores, 171, 283 for a double and things like that. So these programs should keep our viewers on edge, and we're not going to tell who won, you know, so it should be exciting for them.
Yeah, that's right. So, you know, on behalf of Subway, the Red Knight Enterprises, Brunswick Bowling Lanes, Cable 5, we want to welcome you to another week of championship bowling. I'm going to turn it over here to my co-host Bruce Hopkins and get him to let you know who's coming on for this week, and then we'll get right into the game so that we don't keep you waiting and in suspense.
Well, our our 4 bowlers this week will be Paul McDonald, Jason Doucette, 2 of the younger bowlers, Greg McGray, and Cedric DeViller. So if you're ready, Cliff, I'm ready, and I think Paul is ready to go.
I think our bowlers are ready, so let's get her underway. It's been some exciting, you know. After last year, we wondered, said, boy, can we top this? Can the excitement be as strong and as good as what it was? And
well, I think we're topping it with some excitement. Hopefully, the fans will think it's been good.
I'm sure they will. If they appreciate good bowling, then I'm sure they have appreciated the past 5 weeks here.
Okay, Paul McDonald's up there, leading off for us. Throws a hard ball, kind of an in shoot, left to right. I don't know what you've got the records there. I don't know just how many years Paul's been bowling, but it isn't all that many, I know.
Paul's from Melbourne. He's 25 years old. He's a produce clerk over at Sobeys. He's been bowling for 5 years. He bowls in 1 regular league plus the pro league.
Seems just like a couple of years ago I kicked him out of a few little league ball games.
That's right. It doesn't take long for them to sprout up, does it?
He wouldn't enjoy me saying that.
Paul's current average is 106 for this year. His overall high single was 178, and his overall high triple is 429. Paul had a 3-round triple of 346 to get into this tournament.
Been off the head pin his first 2 boxes, but the younger you are, the little longer it takes to adjust.
And again, Paul is a newcomer to this type of bowling, and I'm sure the lights and the cameras and everybody just watching him bowl alone is a little unnerving for them, but I'm sure they'll settle in after a couple of hours or so.
This is another young fellow. Last year we had a couple young guys in. We've got a couple right here. This is Jason Doucette, and nothing wrong with his start.
And that's got to be a big puff of relief coming out of him there.
Yeah, he's probably going to think, hey, there's nothing to this game.
Jason's from Greenville. He's 22 years of age. He's a gas attendant at the Stars Road, Irving. Been bowling for 9 years. He bowls on Wednesday night Pro League. He has a current average of 116. He has a all-time high single of 184 and all-time high triple of 418. And
after a big strike to start it, he kind of got in the groove, and unfortunately there was a hole there for the second ball and the third one. So Paul has a kind of auspicious debut, a strike and 2 on it and 2 on the box. So, but that'll improve as he goes along.
I'm sure it will. Paul qualified for this tournament with a triple of 333.
Here's one of the bowlers who was in last year's tournament, Greg McGray.
Greg McGray, from out in the North Chicago and Sanford area. He's age 38, He's a truck driver by trade. Greg's been bowling for 25 years. He bowls just in one league. He has a current average of 124, a high single of 198, and an all-time high triple of 467.
Probably one of the hardest throwers in town.
He certainly is.
A real hard ball, and gets a lot of action from it.
Greg has had in his career over 400 games, and he qualified for this tournament with a triple of 421, which was the highest qualifying score.
Yeah, he told Reggie about that, didn't he?
Yeah, him and Reggie had this little thing going on. Reggie qualified at 409, but he says Greg had to qualify higher. So it's been an exciting right from the day that they started to qualify, and been a lot of good camaraderie going on, teasing one another.
Oh, that wood killed that shot. Thought it might help a bit, but
didn't look like it
just
would.
took out the head
yeah.
pin in the right-hand corner and left the other three there. It must have deadened the ball, and the ball went straight back instead of following down the line like they usually do. And another 10, so Greg starts off with a couple of 10s. This is Cedric DeViller.
Cedric's from Arcadia, down in the Melbourne area. Is 33 years old. He's a fisherman. He's been bowling for 10 years, and he bowls in 2 separate leagues. He currently has an average of 107. His all-time high single is 152, and his all-time high triple is 372. Cedric qualified for this tournament with a 335.
I almost interrupted there, but he threw a real nice second ball and left the 9-pin in back there. He should have very well had a spare there.
And we've seen that kind of a break, you know, a few times through this tournament so far, with that 9 pins left standing.
There's a good shot. He got that one, so I guess things tend to even up.
The deadwood started to fall over for that. Another one hit it, stopped it.
You might not think they even up because he thought he should have had the first one. So he's thinking he should have had 2. Yeah, Paul McDonald again. Hard thrower. Kind of left to right. Right on the shot. Always nice to get that mark early.
Yeah, it helps build the confidence, get you started, get you working the right way, get you thinking the right way, I should say.
Yeah, right.
Sure is a confidence builder, that's for sure.
7 on his spare, so now Paul is over par. He's got 31 on 3. Stands way back on the approach, back on the rubber. Actually, he's a five-step bowler as I watch him there.
Yeah, I was just watching the same thing. It's, you know, that's
little steps, but there's 5 of them there.
a little unusual because most bowlers, I think, are 4-step.
3 steps, a lot of people. The 4th step that we saw was a very short one to start. The guys who, say, a right-hand bowler had the right foot ahead when they started. They take a very short step, then 3 good strides to get you to the foul line. This is Jason Dowsett. All right, he's ended up with a 6-pin drop right in the middle of the alley. Right on it. Well, if it had had the triangle, he would have had a spare.
Jason trying to overcome that 2 alley there in the second frame.
Has a 10.
And I'm sure he'll shake that off and come through as the game goes on. For those people just joining us, this is Championship Bowling from Brunswick Lanes, brought to you by Subway and the Red Knight Enterprises. What you're watching today is a series. Each bowler will bowl 2 games. We'll take the total pinfall of those 2 games. The 2 highest scores will advance into the next round. This being the 6th week, it is the last week of the first round. And
we'll have eliminated half of our bowlers. Another good 10 for for Jason. Yeah, we started off with 24. We'll be down to 12
after today. Yes.
And then the next 3 rounds, we'll half that again.
So we come down to the final rounds with 6 bowlers.
We'll have 6 in the semifinal and 4 in the skins game.
Yes, we'll eliminate 2 more in the semifinal round. The skins game, I might add, is a real exciting part of this tournament because that's when the big money comes into play.
That's where the money is,
What we do is you hear us talking from week to week about bonus money, and what that is for every double strike, we pay $5 to the bowler. For every 3 marks in a row, we pay 5 marks to the bowler. So they have a chance to pick up a few extra dollars each week on bonus money. And then they get paid a little bit for advancing for each round, which goes up as they get down closer to the finals.
That's 3 10s in a row for Greg. Yeah, we might just as well finish that off, Cliff, and tell the fans that when we get into the skins game, it's a 3-game series. Every alley in the first game is worth $20 to the winner of that alley. And in the second game, it's $30 per alley. And in the third game, it's $40 per alley. So there's a total of $900 sitting out there when you get to the skins game.
So there's a fair amount of money to be made here. But I think the part I like about it the most is that even with that kind of money involved, the bowlers all stay very friendly, very supportive of one another, and that's always nice to see. It's a sportsmanship.
Well, last year, everybody went home with some money. I think one fellow in particular had more than the most. The others did. But they still all made some money, especially on the skins game. Once they advanced to the finals, they'd already made $150.
Yeah. So, and that's nice. It gives them back the money they've invested to get into this tournament. Gives them a chance to go home with a little money, and the prestige of being in the top 4 of 24 of the 24 qualifiers for this tournament. So
Cedric had 2 on his spare and 7 on the alley. So with a spare, Cedric is 29 on 3. So he's a 1 under par. But very, very close right now. Just, of course, we're only into the first game of this week and 4 alleys.
Again, we just want to remind you that this is being brought to you by the Red Knight Enterprises and Subway. And
there it goes.
It tried to stay up.
Yeah.
It didn't want to go down.
Yeah.
So if you're ever out near these establishments, drop in, say hi to them. Do tell them that you've watched the bowling. Hopefully you're enjoying it, and you'll mention that as well. Enjoy some of their hospitality. It's fantastic at both establishments, and we're really happy to have them on as sponsors this year. This
is Paul McDonald.
Punching both sides.
2 to the left and 2 to the right. So I guess you got to go after the head pin. There's a good chance of filling either hole, taking out the head pin only, or punching 2 more.
That's a hard 6 pins.
You're right.
A hard 6 pins.
But you miss the head pin twice like that, there's a outside chance you're going to miss it again, or you're going to hit the head pin skinny and get just that for a 5, or do what Paul did, punch out 2. Or you could clean up a 9 or 10 out of it, if you're lucky. That's a better ball. Not a very good break.
Paul kind of shrugged his shoulders and had a little laugh about it, and come right back with an 8-pin break. So
he's got his work cut out on this one.
Certainly has.
He might make the wood on the left go across. Don't think there's, well, Yes, there could be a chance down in the right-hand corner also. That wood could go across. It looks like it's pointing right at the pin. And he takes a 9, and after 6 boxes, Paul McDonald is 56.
Nobody's breaking loose from the pack right
No.
now. They're
No.
staying right into a little bunch.
This is Jason Doucette. Four in a row, and he's got some help in the middle there with that deadwood. If he can get on the head pin and get the front two, the other two should follow because of the wood. Nice shot. Didn't give it a chance. He split that to make sure.
Another mark for Jason. Hopefully he'll have a little better luck with this one than he did with his strike.
Well, let's hope so.
Well, he got three this time.
That really isn't what he wanted, but it's 3 more than he had. Nice 10. And he's 57 on 6. He's another, Jason, I noticed too, is none of these bowlers with his right foot forward before he starts his 3-step approach. Greg McGray, watching him, he's back on the rubber, both feet just about equal. This is a 4-step approach. The last one's a pretty quick one. Takes his 3 steps and a little hop step there, so he's actually a 4-step bowler. And 8 for 48 on 5. He's another one of these hard throwers who can kill you in a minute. You know, they could go along and get some 9s and 10s, and all of a sudden, bang, bang, bang. You know,
the pins,
and you're
pins
looking up.
Just seem to explode.
Yeah, and they're way ahead of you.
Nice 8-pin break for Greg. A couple of them standing there alone by themselves. The 2 and a 4-pin. Oh.
Ooh. Yeah.
He wanted to cut it a little thin, but not quite that thin.
Well, I'm sure he would like to split it. He left it no chance. Well, he's got 58 after 6. He's had 5 10s and an 8. This is Cedric on his, rolling off on his 2nd spare now. Got 4, which makes him 43. And at the end of 4 alleys, he's top man.
Gonna get a little action there.
Missed his shot, used the wood, and did all right. Set it up for a good 10.
It's almost able to squeeze another spare out of that. Had both of them wobbling.
9 for 52 on 5. On the head pin that time. Left the left-hand corner, the number 7 pin, and there's, what, 3 pieces of wood down there. Should be able to just to pound that one right back and hit the back deadwood. Well, it flew out right over the top. That deadwood didn't slide back at all. He took off in the air.
Just jumped.
And yeah, jumped right over the top of that one. And really all he had to hope for was that the front pin would roll back instead of...
and if that had have touched either one of those other 2 pieces of deadwood, it should have taken it out.
Spare, yeah. He doesn't throw all that hard, but maybe the speed of the ball had something to do with the pin taking off.
That's right. After 6, Paul is 56, Jason is 57, Greg is 58, and Cedric is 62. So we have 6 pins separating all 4 bowlers.
He's got some work. Pins are working. Pins are working for him. I think he's kind of set himself up there for a pretty good shot. I don't think there should be any trouble with that if he stays on that front one. Yep.
There it is. The only one that hasn't had a mark so far is Greg.
Yeah.
But he's had 4 out of the 6 boxes, or 5 out of the 6 boxes are 10s.
Got a lot of pin action again. Got 7 on his spare. So now Paul's over par with 73 on 7. And
That
this
other
pin
Deadwood
stops
rolling.
rolling.
He's got a.
That's going to help him.
Yep, got a possibility.
Yeah, he's got to hit the head pin.
Or another one.
Push everything right back.
Sounded like he dropped that ball, Bruce, on his delivery.
Yeah.
Had a pretty strong bang there, and it.
And an 8 for 81 on 8. Jason's had a strike and a spare and hasn't been able to make him pay. So consequently, he's 3 under par on 6. Nice shot. Nice spare. Way to come back. Throw a bad first ball and throw that second one right where you want it. No,
Makes you feel good to do that, but
Yeah.
makes you wonder what you're doing wrong with that first ball, too.
Say he was due to load up one of these. Well, 6 is okay. That gives him 73 on 7. Ties him with Paul McDonald at that point. And an 8, so he also was 81. He and Paul McDonald both 81 after 8 in the first game. And we're into week number 6.
The last week of the first round.
If you missed the first 5, shame on you. Check in with us. We'll be back. There's the big strike.
There's that ball we've been talking about all along, that when it does get into that pocket and gets there, it really seems to just explode everything that's on the plate.
Well, that's a hard ball. It's got some spin on it. And Craig's pretty accurate. So he gets the action down there.
Possibility of the spare is still there. He's a 4 and 7 pin off to one side can be taken out.
6 on a strike gives him 74 on 7. And a 7, and it makes the first 3 bowlers all at 81. So if Cedric could go up and get 19, it'll be a close game.
Yeah. There's one more apiece and they'll all be tied. No, it's been no great big breakaways here, but it's staying close and
it's close,
and it stays exciting. Cedric having trouble right here now.
Now he's going to have to throw a real good third ball. And I'd say he did.
And I'd say so.
Come up with a 10. That gives him 72. So now is he shooting for a 9? I'm sure he'd like to have more than 9 and he'd come back and say, hey, nobody ahead of me. So he's got a good shot there.
That Deadwood's going to be a good guide for him.
I think it'll go back on the corner pin. If not, it could go off the wall and on the corner pin. But he's got to hit the front one first.
And he got a 9.
Well,
after 8.
We're all tied up after 8.
For 8 frames, we're all tied up at 81 apiece. That's kind of unusual.
That's different. I don't think we've seen anything like that in the couple of years we've been here.
As we were saying at the beginning of this program, every week we see something that makes it a little exciting and a little different. And this is what we've got going right here now. Going into the last 2 frames of the first game, we've got 4 men that are all tied at 81 apiece. Paul unable to capitalize on that 9-pin break that he just had, so he'll try for the 10th. And again, 9. So after 9, he's even par with 90. He'd like to have a mark going out here, Bruce, just to build that confidence, I think.
I think they all would.
Yeah.
Well,
there we go, an 8-pin break.
Not a good drop.
Again.
And it's just like a single pin, this shot. He's got to hit that front one.
If he hits that front one, he's got at least 2, well, yeah, he's got 2 deadwood back there that can possibly take out that 10-pin.
And a 10 for an even 100. Fella gets through a match like that, and he looks back and says, I could have, I should have. They were there for me.
If I'd have done this here.
We'll watch Jason Doucette. Oh, they're working. Another 9-pin break. There's been some good breaks down there, just that the fellas aren't capitalizing on their second ball. I used to say, well, maybe I should still say, you know, most people can get strikes because you throw a ball down there, you're going to get them once in a while. You pick up your spares. This shows the skill as a bowler, and I don't mean to demean any of these fellas here, but the spares, you pick up your spares, and you're going to be with some of the best bowlers amongst them.
You're definitely going to be up there where the good scores are, that's for sure.
Yeah, you've got to pick up your spares and your pins in general.
I think it was back in one of the early weeks there that we bowled this year that there was one guy that had 6 or 7 spares in one game and come out with the top scores, you know, so it gives you that chance to pick up the extra.
There he is.
There. So Jason, in the 10th alley, picks up a spare. That gives him 101 and open.
You come back for something that you say, well, gee, finally. You know. 4?
And he gives him 4.
105.
105.
Oh, there's nobody ahead of him.
No, that's right. Greg McGray up now. 81 in the 8th. Greg hasn't had a mark this game. Yes, he has.
Had a strike,
he had a strike. That's right.
Oh, yeah. There's that hard ball with the stuff on it. That's what it'll do. And hey, he's got the...
Makes the difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's got the 3-pin sitting there with a big flat deadwood. I think Greg could probably hit that with his eyes closed. And then when somebody hears me say that, they'll say, well, that's the way he's been bowling all day with his eyes closed. So
I'm sure there'll be a few comments from a lot of his teammates before the day's over. And a big strike. Big strike.
This is what Greg can do to you. He can go along and almost like he's playing possum, then look out.
All of a sudden he connects on that right groove. And another one.
And he's got 3 in a row.
And that's
with a double strike.
So that.
So he picked up a double bonus there.
I believe that's the first triple strike we've had in the 2 years.
It most certainly is, and that gives him 30 on that one box. He ends up with 131. He was 1 over par after 8, and he ends up 31 over par. So he went spare triple strike.
4 marks in a row.
Yeah, because last year we only had 1 double strike, and this year we've had double strikes. But this definitely is the first triple strike
we've had in 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. He pulled away from the pack in a hurry there, didn't he?
Certainly did. Yeah. And that's all it takes is to put a couple marks like that together, and that can make all the difference in the world for you.
You know, he had a 9-pin break for his spare.
Yes.
With a flat devil, he could have 4 in a row, just as easy as not.
That's right.
4 strikes in a row.
Yep.
I mean. Good 8-pin drop for Cedric. That would be a good spare for him right here now, and put a load on it. Put him up in the second spot. Make everybody else chase him. Nine or 10 on that, and you know, he's got the other guys behind him. He's got 2 behind him, and
so Cedric,
then they got to work to catch him.
That's right. So Cedric now has 100 and open, and he picks up 4 there. So
he's got 104.
104. So we got a 3-way race for second place right now, going into the second game.
So after the first game, it's Greg McGray at 131, Jason Doucette at 105, Cedric DeViller 104, and Paul McDonald 100. So we won't concede anybody yet, but there's 3 of them there just within 5 pins that are looking for that second spot right now. And we're starting the second game here with Paul McDonald. And he starts off with a 9. We're not going to be able to announce before we go off the air who our next round bowlers will be, because the 12 winners that we have determined today, the names will be put in a hat, and it'll be drawn to determine which group of 4 they're in. So it's going to be a surprise to us and to our viewers who the foursomes will be when we come back next week.
That's right. So, and that'll, again, the first week of the second round.
The reason, excuse me, Cliff, but the reason that's done is so that we won't be blamed for putting certain people in against certain people. It's the luck of the draw.
That's right.
As was this round. So it's felt that was the fairest way to do it.
And it makes it, you know, it makes it fair for everybody if you...
And a 7 for 16.
And that second round determines who goes into the semifinals.
That's right. It leaves 6 bowlers in the semifinal. And the money goes up for advancing. They get $25 for advancing from this round to the next round, and to get into the semifinals, they get $50 for advancing. This is Jason Doucette, who had 105, so he's in second place right now. Nice spare. And 4 in a row. And I think that little in-shoot is a good ball for that 4 in a row, at least on that side of the alley. Because the ball seems to go away and kicks the bottom out, and they just kick the bottoms of the pins out, and down they go. We'll see how it works on this side.
6 on his spare. If he hits that on the left-hand side of that head pin.
If he goes outside, it's a possibility, or he can split. And he split.
Yeah.
So he had identical spares on opposite sides of the alleys, and split both of them. That's the way I always like to play on the split. As I said earlier one week, that you go outside and you miss, you get nothing. You go in there, at least you're going to get 2 or 3, or maybe all of them. I like the split myself.
Gives you a little more to shoot at.
Well, it seems to. You're still going to have it's still a small shot.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just seems a lot bigger because there's more pins there behind it. Greg's got a shot here. Still moving. Depends on where that's going to settle down, what kind of a shot he's got. If it stays out there, I think he's got to go on the nose. If it went more right, I think he could go down on the end of it. But I think he's got to stay hot. Well, it could still be open for him now. He was going after the nose of that one. And a 10. Starting off the same way he started last game. He started last game with 4 10s. And he gets a lot of pinfall there. Leaves the 1 and 7 with a wood laying there. That
would look
I
like
wouldn't say it
gonna
won't
keep
help, but it could help if it straightens out. If it just goes sideways, it isn't going to do anything for him. But if he hits it just a certain way, hey, nice shot.
Well played.
That head pin just took off and took the 7 pin. Cedric DeViller had 104 his last game. So he's one of the 3 that are hanging real close for that second spot. Well, got way outside on it, almost stole it.
Wobbled that number 6 pin pretty good.
And takes an 8.
Having trouble controlling that second ball.
And the second game after the second alley, Paul McDonald 16, Jason Doucette 26 in open, Greg McGray 20 in open, and Cedric DeViller 16. There it goes.
And a big strike. Big strike for Paul McDonald. Get some confidence back for him.
Well, good possibility there. Get on that head pin. The wood down and behind on the 7 pin sure helps. Seven on the strike.
Seems to be laying that ball down instead of putting it out there, and it's having trouble to control it.
Well, they're nice 10. They're hard throwers, and like a baseball pitcher, the harder you throw, the harder it is to control it. And you look at bowlers. I mean, there are fast bowlers that have control. Greg is one. Tony's one. You have to have that control. Fastball's no good if you don't know where it's going. And I think a baseball pitcher's in the same boat. If you don't know where it's going, you're not going to throw strikes.
That's 4 on Jason's spare.
4 on Jason's spare gives him 30 on 2.
And he's set.
I think back when I'm talking about control and speed, or the lack of speed, I think of George Baker. George probably had, in his day when he was younger and real sharp, as good a control as anybody. Not only in Yarmouth, but anywhere in the province. We used to say he didn't throw hard enough to break an egg. But he had the control, and he wasn't a strike bowler, he was a spare bowler. And he would pin you to death. He'd pick off singles and 8-pin breaks and so on like that, and it made George one of the best bowlers around.
and smooth.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I don't ever remember watching George bowl and hear the ball hit the floor.
We didn't throw it hard enough to hit the
It
floor.
was always just a it was always just a whisper as it left his hand.
I'm not saying, again, that fast bowlers don't have control or can't have control. I think you have to learn it. I think you have to acquire that skill. And I'm sure Greg and Tony and them, as they bowled and got better, their speed may have picked up a little bit more, but they could control it. It really doesn't matter how hard you throw it. If you're throwing at a single pin, you can throw it as hard as you want. If you don't hit it, what's the good?
It doesn't do much good.
7 on Greg's spare for 27 on the second.
And they don't have to be hit hard.
Single pins don't.
No, but any of them.
No, that's true. I think you do get more pinfall with a fastball because the pins work more off the side and so on. And I admire anybody that can throw as hard as these guys and still have the good control.
Yeah.
Gee, you know. Well, you look over at the board and you see a 478 triple and a 200 single, and those guys throw quite hard.
Yes.
But they are accurate, and that's the whole thing that I'm trying to say, I guess.
It's as I said a couple weeks ago, I could throw it almost that hard, but it would probably end up 3 alleys over from where I was trying to put it.
Then they wouldn't let you back in the alleys.
But it's been exciting. It's a tremendous experience to sit here week after week and watch these guys.
Greg picks up a couple of 10s and has 47 on 4.
And to admire their accuracy.
Well, there's a lot of talent, a lot of skills up there. Now Cedric needs to get going after a couple of 8s. There he is.
And there it is.
We're seeing that spare made quite often. I always used to think that was quite a hard spare because the corner pin always stayed up. But yeah, just in this game, we've seen 3 of them.
Yeah. Jason made 2 of them back to back.
Yeah. Yeah, and on opposite sides of the plate.
Yeah.
15 for 31 on 3 for Cedric. So again, the Hall 4 of them are staying close. If that had rolled some more to the right, it would have helped him a little bit. Oh, yeah. Oh, now how do you leave a pin in the middle like that, huh? Got the back pin and everything.
It's amazing how it does it.
And 9 for 40. So after 4 in the second game, it's Paul McDonald 43, Jason Doucette 47, along with Greg McGray's 47, and Cedric Davila 40.
And that's almost right where we were in the first game, so.
Yeah, they're staying close.
Just want to remind the viewers that they're watching Championship Bowling's brought here from Brunswick Lanes by Cable 5 and our sponsors, our corporate sponsors, Subway and Red Knight Enterprises. Would also like to take and thank the people at St. Jerome's for feeding us here today, and it's always nice to have these people that will donate this type of thing and support these types of events.
And Paul has an 8 for 51 on 5. So halfway through the match on 15 boxes, Paul is 1 over par. That's a good ball.
And there's a big strike
There's
for
a
him.
good ball. And he's open in a 6 with his strike. Jason Doucette. 7 over par. 105 the first game. Throws a big first ball in there. Well, if that had moved out, he'd have been all right, but that other wood touched it, so let's see what's going to happen here. Well, he's almost got to go on the nose of that left-hand deadwood, shove it right back. Well,
down a little bit, but
down on it, and the second deadwood straightened the wood out and took it back for him.
Yeah.
That was a nice spare for Jason, and that's his third spare of this game. Had 4 marks in the first game. And unfortunately, he has a hard time making them count. That's only 3, so it gives him 60 on 5. He's had some small spares there. And a 9 for 69.
Want to remind the viewers also, Bruce, that if they have any comments that they would like to make concerning the broadcasts over the past 6 weeks, if they would like to drop them off here at Brunswick Lanes or at cable TV, or, you know, give them a call. We'd certainly appreciate any comment that they might have concerning the telecast and what they think of it. And
you suppose that's smart?
Well,
yes, by all means. We'd love to hear their comments.
You always learn from it, so.
And a spare for Greg.
Criticism is always good if it's constructive criticism.
That's for sure, yeah.
But if last year was any indication, I think the people were very happy with what they saw. And I'm sure they will be this year with the caliber of bowlers that we have again this year.
6 on a spare, puts Greg up to 63 on 5. Leaves the 147, probably go after 2. And a 7 for 70, so Greg's 10 over par after 6 in his second game. This brings up Cedric, who's got a 40 after 4. And he rolled 104 his first game. I like to keep referring back to what these people got. Some people like to sit and 10 score with us. There's a nice spare by Cedric. Some people will mark the scores right along with us. The ones that don't may tend to forget some of the scores, so maybe it's a little repetitious or boring for some, but to those who don't 10 score with us, it might help you too. And there's a big 9 on that spare, so Cedric is 59 on 5. Left-hand corner pin. Oh.
And that puts him right back into contention again here, Bruce.
That would have been a big mark right there for him too. And he takes his 10. So after 6 on the second game, Paul McDonald 61 and open with a strike. Jason Doucette 69, Greg McGray 70, and Cedric DeViller 69. So the 3 of them are right close together there. In fact, Paul McDonald's right close with him too. So it's anybody's battle for that second spot. And maybe we should have mentioned too now, if we have a tie for any spot, the first spot or the second spot, there will be a 2-frame roll-off to determine the winner who would advances. So say we concede Greg his first spot and 2 of these guys tie for second spot, they'll have to each roll 2 boxes to determine a winner. And if that's not determined, then we'll roll 2 more until it is determined. But Paul comes across with a good 9-pin drop and picks up the single pin for a spare on his strike.
We've never had that happen, but last year in the skins game we had carryovers into a couple alleys just to determine who was going to pick up the money for that frame.
Big money, yeah. And 3 on his spare, so now that's a big boost to Paul McDonald. It puts him up 14 over par. And he was the low man of the 3 trying to qualify for that second spot.
And he's got another one.
Spare, and he's got 3 marks in a row.
Yes, sir. That's a bonus for Paul.
And those are coming at a pretty good time for Paul.
Yes.
He's putting the pressure on the other boys now. So here's Jason now. Jason was only 2 pins behind him, but now Paul's pulled 2 spares on him.
And if, you know, if there ever was a time in these games when you got to break away from the pack, this is it.
Yeah, it has a little more emphasis on it. It kind of makes the guy, holy crow, I only got 3 or 4 alleys left, and I got to get going.
That's right. And it can have a tendency to throw you off of your game a little bit with that kind of pressure. So
well, you start trying too hard,
that's
maybe.
Right.
You know, so 8 for Jason, and he's 77 on 7. Well, right at this moment, there's only 2 pins separating the two, but Jason has a box to roll yet. Well, he makes that 4 in a row. He's got the 8 pin in behind it, which most times carries right on when you make that 4. Set it up nice for a 10. Well, it takes his 8. And Jason does it as 85 on 8. Greg McGray with 70 on 6 and had 131 his first game.
Seems to me this is almost where Greg broke loose in the 8th frame last game. So
for those who might have come in late, he broke loose with a triple strike in the last box.
Got up in the 9th, had a spare, and then had triple strikes in the 10th. So took him from an 81 in the 8th to 131 at the end of the 10th.
Yep. A triple strike will give you the maximum 30 for the frame. And he comes out of that with a 9. That went out quite a ways, but I didn't hear any whistle, so it must have been all right. And he kind of, I think he's kind of wondering himself. He gives Gerald a little signal there, didn't hear anything. And he pins his 9-pin break for a spare.
I think Greg thinks he might have.
I know he didn't get away with anything. Gerald's
no,
sharp on the line down there. That's all he's watching. He doesn't even know who's up there. He doesn't know how many pins fall.
But Greg himself thought he was over.
That should be a strike.
There's a strike for Cedric.
So they're not letting down. They're staying right in there.
Nobody's given any quarter here today. They're really working. And another one right in the pocket. Oh, a bad break. A real shame after.
Well, he's got to go after 9 on the strike and
That's
10 on the alley and pin. He needs these pins. 18 is 87 on 7. Well, look at that. That's how you make that spare, huh? And a 9 for 96. So after 8 alleys in the second game, Paul McDonald 94 in open, Jason Doucette 85, Greg McGray 89 in open, and Cedric DeViller 96.
So we still got a close game.
We're coming down to the last 2 boxes. We're looking at 3 guys that are real close for the second spot.
And you know, if you sit down and laid out a format for a tournament,
couldn't do it.
You couldn't ask for any more nail biters than what we've had in the last 6 weeks.
Well, there's back-to-back spares that Paul's had and only picked up 3 pins on them, so he could have put this away with a couple of good marks. But he's 97 on 8. This is where the pins that you leave on the plate with that 3rd ball count. 10 gives him 107 on 9, so he's got 207 for total so far, and he's got 1 box to go.
Right now, his competition looks like it's going to be Cedric. If he keeps going the way he is, Jason still has the chance, and a big strike.
There's a big strike. I guess so.
Big strike. And the body language that Paul just showed us really showed you how much it meant to him.
Well, I think he's pretty sure he knows where he is, what he needs. He needs everything he can get.
It couldn't have come at a better time for him, that strike.
Okay, it's 3 or 4 of those.
Got rid of that 8-pin in the back there, so now those 4 pins there, if he gets it in the pocket, there's a real good chance of a spare. Oh.
All right, that's a big 19.
Big
so
19.
That gives him 126 and a total of 226. Well, unless things change, and it's quite possible they can, that's for sure. That could be a big strike right there with that 9 on it. He made it count.
Could have been the change for him, that's for sure. But as we said earlier, none of these guys are letting up. They're working hard, they're bowling, they're pinning everything that's possible. And there's a possible spare again, depending on where he hits that deadwood.
I can say it now. I wonder what would have happened if he'd have split the 2 deadwood there. It's a fine shot. That's a 9.
9, yep.
94 on 9. So Jason is 9 over par. 105 the first game and 4 over par now. So he needed a double strike. There's a spare. So that's 104. Even if he gets a strike, that would give him 114. If I would only give him 219. So Jason's not going to make it. That's a 7. 111. So 216 for Jason Doucette. Oh, Greg McGray, 89 and open in the 8th. Greg with his 131 and 9, so he's 40 plus over par. So Greg is going to be one of our bowlers to advance.
Big 8 on his spare.
Gives him 97 on 8. Wide open shot. Even if he misses to the left, the deadwood's going to help him because he'll keep the ball in there. And I was going to say, if he misses it all, he should miss to the left, and that explains itself right there. What happens when you do miss your shot to the right? 106 and 1 box to go. So we're going to come down to the last bowler again.
Yes, it is. And Cedric's going to have to get some marks to be able to take Paul out.
He's got to have a mark with 7. A mark with 7 and 10 to beat out Paul McDonald. There's some chopping there.
It certainly is. And he continues to chop. 7 on that.
113 for a total of 244. That's a good match for Greg. Gets right at his average, 122. So here we go. Cedric, 96 on 8, sorry. Had 104 his first game, which gives him a 200 total. And Paul McDonald has got 226. So Cedric's got 2 boxes to get 27 pins.
He has to get these.
And he's going to leave it to his last one.
Again, it comes down to that last frame.
Well, he needs a spare or mark with 8. That is 209, 219, and 8. Yep, mark with 8. Well, that'll be a nice spare if he can make it. Paul's starting to lean forward a little bit. A little smile.
He wipes his brow a little bit.
So that last strike is the one that did it for Paul McDonald.
Certainly is, yep.
109
Cedric,
and
109.
213. So the scores on Wick 6. Greg McGray, 131 to 113 for 244. Paul McDonald, 100 and 126 for 226. Jason Doucette, 105 and 111 for 216. And Cedric DeViller, 104 and 109 for 213, which means the two bowlers who advance in week 6 to the next round are Greg McGray with a 244 and Paul McDonald with a 226.
That's right, and to help sweeten the pot a little bit, Greg picked up 2 bonus points for $10, and Paul picked up 1 for 5, which is going to help their cost a little bit.
Yeah, a little pocket money.
And this wraps up week 6 of championship bowling here at Brunswick.